Love is blind, but the red flags are in 4K. We're one bad text away from crashing out in a probation violation. Welcome to Kinda Unhinged. What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. I'm back with another Love After Lockup, Love During Lockup video, and we are on season 7, episode 5. So we begin this episode with Emily arriving at the content house, and she said that she hasn't told Justin that she was there yet, but when he calls, she's going to tell him the truth, and he just so happens to call, and she tells him that she's there, and of course, he doesn't like that. He's upset about her being there, and he said that it's basically cheating. So he feels like her work at the brothel is transactional, but for whatever reason, her shooting like OF type of content feels like it's cheating to him because she gets to choose the person, and he doesn't like the fact that other people will be able to see it. So he's not happy with that. And he basically gives her an ultimatum, and he's like, if you go in there and shoot this content, then we're not going to have the relationship because I'm not going to be with somebody that's doing that. And she's like, yeah, you are, because where are you going? I'm the one with the money. You like the money. You keep taking money from me. This is how I make money. So then we see Aisha and her friend headed to the courthouse. Obviously, she's a little bit upset with the information that she got from Mikhail's aunt about him being in there for life, because she's like, he never told me anything about life. And his aunt is like 82 years old, so maybe she didn't get it correct. Maybe she doesn't know what she's talking about, and I don't think that that's fair at all. The woman's 82, yeah, but I mean, if you heard that someone got life or not. So on their way to the courthouse, Mikhail calls and she tells him that she met his aunt. She went to his house, and he was like, oh, you went up the hill? She's like, yeah, we went up the hill. He was like, yeah, you did? You saw everything? She was like, yeah. And we saw this caution tape up there. And what's that about? And he was like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. And sure you don't, Mikhail. Then she says, well, I've got something to tell you and you're not going to like it. And he's like, oh, I got to call you back when I get my pen working. I got to get my pen working. I'll call you back. And he gets off the phone. So once they arrive at the courthouse, she asked for information on him, and the lady gave her a stack of papers that was about this thick. And they don't even leave the courthouse. They go into the courtroom and start going through this paperwork. And I don't know who gave them permission to go through this paperwork. That was crazy to me, because I don't think that's a thing that you could just walk into a courthouse and sit down and start looking through papers. But nonetheless, they look through the papers and they find out that yes, he indeed did get life in prison. So then we see Goddess talking to Demond on the phone, and she's still mad that he didn't tell his child's mother about her. And he's like, well, look, she's got my stuff at her house, and I don't want to make her mad while she's holding on to my stuff. So I'm going to wait until I get out, and then I'm going to tell her about you. I'm going to tell everybody about you, that you're the one that I'm with and you're who I want to be with. And Goddess says okay, but she's still skeptical of it because she says she doesn't trust any man completely. Then we see Bonita getting a call from Demond, and he starts flirting with her on the phone. Then he's like, my mom's coming to get my stuff, and all my stuff better be there. And she's like, what are you talking about? Why is your mom coming to get your stuff if you're coming here to be with me? And Bonita doesn't even want his mom coming inside of her house because she's like, I don't trust her and what she's up to. And frankly, she shouldn't trust her because the mom is up to no good with her son, Damon. But I'll tell you this, when he finds out that you sold $115,000 worth of his stuff, he is going to be through the roof. So good luck, Bonita. So then we see Monique complaining to her sisters about Titus, and they're like, yeah, we don't really think that he's the guy for you. I mean, he wasn't even concerned about you when you passed out. Like, you need to really think about what you're doing. And they go ahead and go home. And then after they leave, Monique talks about losing her child and how she went into a depression after that, and she never talked about or considered having children with anyone else until she met Titus. So while Monique is shooting a scene with the producers, she gets a knock at her door, and it's Jamal, Titus's cousin. And he's like, yeah, Titus sent me over here to check on you. He said you passed out. Like, have you talked to him? And she was like, no, I got him blocked. He was like, you got him blocked? She was like, yeah. And then Titus calls, and he's like, what's going on? And he's like, yeah, I'm over here at Monique's. Do you want to talk to her? He was like, yeah. So he gives the phone to Monique, and he's like, look, we both said a lot of disrespectful things. I think we can put it past us and move on. And Monique is like, no, I'm not moving on until I get an apology. And he's like, an apology? You owe me an apology. You've been here for 4 months and you haven't came to see me at all. And she said, I'm not coming to see you until I get an apology from you. And he said, well, I got real love for you. She said, you got what? He was like, I said, I love you. She was like, no, you didn't. That's not what you said. He was like, well, I love you. Do you accept my apology? And she was like, yeah. He said, when you gonna book the appointment? I'm gonna book it as soon as we get off of here. And I'm like, Monique, is that it? He didn't even really apologize. That was the weakest apology I've ever heard in my life. But she was giddy. She was happy as could be for that little bitty non apology that he gave her. And Jamal was like, well, I guess my work here is done. And Monique was like, are we done? Because I need to go talk to my man. We're back together now. Monique, the bar is truly in hell. Do better, please. So while Aisha was looking at the paperwork, she took note of the prosecutor's name in Mikhail's case and she tracked her down and she got a meeting with her. And obviously, this was for the cameras because there is no way that you're just gonna call up somebody's prosecutor and be like, oh, can I meet up with you to talk about this guy that I met online? You prosecuted his case. I want to find out some information. Like, that's not a thing. That does not happen. So obviously, Love After Lockup made this happen because ain't no way this would have happened in real life. So she goes and meets with the prosecutor, and the prosecutor's like, I didn't really remember this case, but I went and looked it up, and then I kind of remembered. How did you meet him? And she's like, oh, I met him online. What did he tell you about his charges? Because he has 4 pages of just driving infractions. So basically, Mikhail has a long criminal history, but the prosecutor does give her some hope and says that, luckily he got life with parole and he's up for parole in 2 years. So he does have the possibility to get out. But this is not what Mikhail told her. Mikhail told her that he would be getting out soon and they were going to have this life living on a ranch and all of this stuff. So her and her friend decide to go to a cattle ranch so she could fantasize about her life that she was supposed to have with Mikhail. And he calls while they're at the ranch and she confronts him about him being convicted for life. And he says, yeah, that's what I told you. Remember, I told you that I'm being held against my will. And Aisha was like, everybody who's in prison is being held against their will. Nobody wants to just voluntarily go to prison. And basically, he says that he was scammed by an attorney that promised him that he would get 5 years. He signed some deal. And then when they actually went to court, he was sentenced to life. So he says that was against his 14th Amendment and he is fighting it. And Aisha says that this is very stressful. She's like, you didn't tell me that you got life. If you told me that you got life, I would have never agreed to all of this. But can you just keep me in the loop of what's going on? And he's like, yeah, of course. And that was really it for this episode. There wasn't really a whole lot to discuss, but you guys let me know what y'all thought about it in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want more Love After Lockup content, then go ahead and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.
I'm not going to apologize to her. I'll tell you that right now.